Hello all and welcome to the official FanTeam podcast brought to you by FanTeam, the biggest daily fantasy site in Europe. My name is Andrew and today I'm joined once again by one of the best fantasy football managers around in Mark McGettigan, aka the FPL General. Great to have you back on, Mark. How's it going?
I'm doing good, Andrew. Good to be back. Looking forward to another monster on FanTeam this weekend. It's actually been a nice week this week not to have midweek FPL action. It kind of leaves me nice and refreshed for the weekend, I always find, and just mad to get going again. Obviously, a couple of issues in the FA Cup, but I'm sure we'll talk about those.
Yeah, we will indeed. Have you spent your £5,000 winnings from Gameweek 18 yet on your front door or?
Yeah, it didn't last very long. Front door, 2 windows, I think 3 radiators. Very, very exciting. I mean, if you're going to win £5,000, you don't really want to win it during a lockdown. So yeah, my wife has she spent it pretty wisely.
So FanTeam have insulated the FPL General's
house. All my radiators now have a little FanTeam sticker on them.
Fantastic. Obviously, as you mentioned, great to see this week a lot of Premier League teams putting out strong teams in the FA Cup. However, injuries galore last night. From a fantasy perspective, it's going to give us a lot of headaches. I've personally got so all of the 6 major players that were injured either last night or the evening before. I've got 6 of them in my season-long FanTeam game and an FPL. With teams playing every 3 days and looking at the schedule, actually for a lot of the teams in Europe, they will continue to play every 3 games for as long as they're in the competitions. What are your thoughts, on whether we're going to see more of this or the impact on fantasy or anything? Bit of an open question, I know, but it's just causing so many headaches all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like you say, especially those European teams, Champions League and Europa League. So that's probably what, a good 7 teams. We're just going to have to get used to it. I mean, the schedule is already condensed the way it is, but you got to feel for these European teams. It's going to be every 3 days really for the rest of the season, and then the other domestic cup competitions as well. So yeah, I think FPL wise, most of us have benching headaches every week anyway. Yeah. So at least now we do have the likes of Calvert-Lewin. We don't have the bench people like Soucek and Fearon. So yeah, it's going to be tricky, I think.
It will indeed. Yeah, and in terms of advice for fantasy managers, so my kind of a thought on stuff is not to rush headlong into decisions, take -4s, take -8s, use your wild card because you panic. My kind of advice generally in this time is just relax a little bit. As long as you've got 11 players out, that's probably an advantage over a lot of players going into coming weeks. Is that a kind of approach that you would normally take?
Yeah, it's just always patience as well. I mean, never panic when you see, you can log into your FPL team during the week and you can have 5 flags, but you could log in on a Friday and 4 of the flags have disappeared. Yeah. So never panic about those little warning signs on the page because quite often they can clear up after the press conferences on a Friday. And yeah, just don't panic and use your bench. The bench is there for a reason, so use it for the next few weeks.
And what's obviously great about the weekly monsters now is we can just ignore all those players and hopefully pick up a bargain or 2 specifically for the weekend games. So for our YouTube watchers, please remember to click the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen and to press the like button if you enjoy our content. So our feature tournament for this podcast and video is the Gameweek 24 Weekly Monster, which has a prize pool this week of a massive €75,000. And we'll be running through the Gameweek's fixtures and sharing our entries with you. So our watchers and listeners are aware what it is. It's very similar to the free hit chip in Fantasy Premier League, where you basically pick the best 11 players for the game week that you think will score the most points. So the rules in brief: you build a squad of 11 players. It's got to include at least 1 goalkeeper, 3 defenders, 2 midfielders, and a forward. You can select up to a maximum of 3 players from any one team. You have a budget of 105 million to build your 11-man team, and you can make unlimited changes to your team until the first applicable match kicks off. You pick a captain and a vice captain. Your captain scores double points, and your vice will replace them if your captain doesn't play. Players are priced in accordance with match odds, which means they are priced specifically with the game week in mind, and a safety net applies. So if a player does not start at all, he'll be replaced automatically, if possible, buy a cheaper player from the same club and position, and player price will not change. Obviously, this safety net helped you, Mark, a few weeks ago when Joel Ward basically won you €5,000 in game week 18 after, was it Van Aanholt?
Yeah, Van Aanholt didn't play, so I got one of my new favourite FPL players, Joel Ward. I was dependent on him to get a clean sheet, and he pulled out of the bag against Arsenal.
Absolutely fantastic. So for those watching now on YouTube, we have the point scoring matrix on screen. As you can see, it's very similar to the season-long fan team game and indeed the Fantasy Premier League FPL game. Mark, I hate to ask you this as a Man United fan, but just kind of, looking at the league now, do we think that City are a shoo-in for the league, or do you think anyone else has got a say in the title race?
Yeah, I think I've been saying it for probably 2 or 3 weeks now. City just really turned it on after Christmas, and I think there's only going to be one winner now. I don't think anyone can stop them. I definitely don't think we'll be able to stop them. We're having a good season, but I think City are just on a different level.
What are your hopes for Man United the rest of the season? Do you think a top 4 is a good aim or higher?
Yeah, I think that has to be minimum. So if City are going to win it, we've got to aim for second, hopefully. And yeah, anything other than Champions League is a failure.
What's your top 4 at the moment, if you were to say now?
Do you know what? It's I spend all my time looking at fantasy, but I very, very rarely look at the Premier League table. So I'm just getting in front of me here. So City, United, Leicester, I can see all those 3 staying there. And Chelsea are 1 point behind Liverpool, and yeah, I think Chelsea could actually pip Liverpool. On what I've seen on recent weeks. So I'll say City, United second, Leicester third, Chelsea fourth.
Wow, that's very that's good. Well, it obviously also means that Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal were near. It's a funny old season. Fair play to Leicester, because they really disrupted that that top 6 and top 4 of the coming weeks. I do wonder whether their European run may slightly hinder them in terms of squad depth later down the line. But at the moment, they're playing as well as anyone, and and fair play to them. I think I would go Man City. Man United just seem to keep finding ways of winning. I find them quite a frustrating team, because they always find just a way of getting to that place they want in the league. Even though they have some shocking results, they will then kind of reflect those results and have some pretty outstanding ones. Like the draw against Man City, for example, and and the odd win against his big team as well. Yeah, I think Leicester, and sad to say, I just think Spurs are too inconsistent. So I think Liverpool will turn it on. Liverpool's last 8 games are pretty good, so I do think Liverpool will pip.
That's the United fan of me saying they won't finish top 4. That's my hope.
That's your hope. Indeed. So there are 3 full-round weekly monster tournaments every game week. This week, one at a prize pool of €12,500 with a guaranteed first prize of €1,500, which you can enter for as little as €2. For this week, there's also a free entry to this competition for new FanTeam users. So if you do fancy seeing what all the fuss is about, head to fanteam.com, register, and play that tournament for free. There is a high roller tournament if you want to play for big money. For our feature tournament for this podcast is a €75,000 prize pool game with a guaranteed €7,500 first prize for just a €20 entry. The teams we pick can be used across all monster tournaments. Just a reminder to enter all FanTeam contests. You must be over 18 and be gambleaware.org. So for this game week, we have all 10 Premier League matches applicable for this contest, and it starts with big game Leicester versus Liverpool. So Mark thinks this will finish 3rd versus 5th. Leicester versus Liverpool first. Really, really massive game there, especially for Liverpool. Palace and Burnley play at 3 o'clock, followed by Manchester City against Spurs. And as a Spurs fan, I'm dreading that game after Spurs played 120 unsuccessful minutes last night against a rested Man City. And then Brighton play Villa at 8 in the evening. On to Sunday, Southampton play Wolves. West Brom against Man United. You have to fancy Man United there, I think. Arsenal play Leeds. Everton versus Fulham. And on the Monday evening, West Ham play Sheffield United at 6 o'clock, followed by Chelsea against an injury-ravaged Newcastle. So looking at those matches, Mark, which are the ones that stand out for you, and which will you be targeting this week?
Yeah, I think two jump out at me right away. You mentioned Manchester United against West Brom. West Brom have been dreadful in recent weeks, so straight away I'm going to triple up, I think, on Manchester United for this monster tournament. And then Monday night, Chelsea at home to Newcastle. Even though Newcastle have been much better recently, I think now that Callum Wilson's out, it's a big blow for them. So I think Chelsea should win that one comfortably. And then in terms of games, I'll probably swerve, possibly Leicester, Liverpool. That one could go either way. And there's just something about early kickoffs, isn't there, when you play fantasy, that it's easy to avoid them. And likewise, Manchester City Spurs. I do expect City to win it, but are the forwards going to rack up massive scores against a Mourinho defence? Possibly not. I know Everton scored plenty against them during the week, though, so maybe I'm wrong there. And I'm just looking at fixtures as well. The fact that there's two on Monday, one of them's West Ham, Sheffield United, so I fancy West Ham in that one, and I said I fancy Chelsea. So, part of me is thinking maybe I'll go back and look at this team again, because I think in FanTeam there's something nice about having a good chunk of players left to play on the Monday night. If you're in the running and you've got 3-4 players to play on Monday, it's just a lot more exciting, especially on a Monday night, when Monday night games are not often very exciting. So maybe I'll end up going back and getting a few West Ham and Chelsea players with that in mind.
Yeah, last week myself and Ben, who was on last week, were both flying high with a game to. I think Ben got as high as maybe 30th or 40th, but there was the one game left, or the one evening left, and he obviously cashed well, but I think he finished a couple of hundredth, whereas he was hoping for big prize, or even challenge you and your title of having won the whole thing. I think the both of us were flying high, and then we kind of dipped down. So I very much agree with that. It's very nice, if you're in a good position going into the last day and you have got one or two players left, you're highly likely to finish with a really good rank. So I'll certainly be looking at those as well. Just for it worth, I think that Leicester Liverpool game will be a really good game. I think Leicester have got a few defensive injuries. I think Fofana will be a really big miss for them. He's been superb this season, and Justin obviously went off last night. Not sure how bad his injury is, but I can't imagine if he was stretched off because his knee popped, that he would be playing 72 hours later. And Liverpool have basically got to win, right? They have to win if they want any sort of chance of challenging for the league. Obviously, if they go for the win, they can leave gaps at the back for players like Maddison, Barnes, and Vardy. So I see that being quite an open game, and personally quite a high scoring one as well, I would say. Maybe like a 2-2 or.
Yeah, something tells me Vardy's going to have a good one against that makeshift Liverpool defence. So he's in my thoughts for this as well.
Cool. Palace and Burnley, not the most exciting game. City and Spurs, again, just as a Spurs fan, City will have all the possession. They'll try and break them down. Spurs will try and release Son to score on the break, the same as kind of every time they play. One thing I would say, though, is Son has got an exceptional record of scoring against Man City. He did earlier this season. He did in the Champions League back-to-back last season, I believe, as well, and in the league as well. So, I do think he's cheap this week, but I think he could be, decent pickup. Brighton and Villa, not the most exciting, though. Brighton's defence has been superb of late, and they were, unfortunate last night in the FA Cup against Leicester to lose in the 95th minute. They had out a makeshift team, but still managed to stifle, Vardy and co for 90-odd minutes. So I don't see that one being a high-scoring game. Southampton and Wolves, probably a tight one, I guess. Wolves have tightened right up at the back. West Brom United, agree with you. I think United should, especially playing away, should blow them away a little bit. West Brom have got to try and score goals, and their record at home recently has been absolutely abysmal. I think they average over 3 goals conceded at home since Big Sam joined. Arsenal Leeds, interesting one, I think, because Leeds obviously play this really expansive football. Arsenal have improved. Can probably see that one being a lowish scoring match there. Everton and Fulham, quite evenly matched, I would say, before we go on to the Monday night games. Yeah, so some really interesting fixtures this week. So we've got your team now on screen for our YouTube watchers, Mark. Would you mind running through your selections and your rationale?
Yeah, so I think first thing people will notice here is there's two triple ups. There's a Palace triple up,
Mm.
there's a Manchester United triple up, and then there's two double ups: Spurs, Aston Villa, and then Stuart Dallas is the man flying solo. So picking this team, first thing I did, triple Man United against West Brom. I don't know if captaincy is in that image on the screen, but I think it'll be Bruno Fernandes. He'll be. I'm actually leaning towards Bruno Fernandes captain in FPL as well, even though he's got only one fixture
Wow.
in the double game week. I just think Calvert-Lewin's probably gone as an option now. I'm a bit worried about Manchester City rotation, so I think I might just go Bruno against West Brom, and hopefully he outscores the double game week guys. The Crystal Palace triple up is mainly because every man and their dog are buying Burnley players this week in FPL, Pope, defenders.
Yeah,
So it would be typical FPL for Crystal Palace to turn up and win 2 or 3-0.
it
So
would. You're
I'm
right.
gonna put back that into Monster just for a bit of fun, just
Yeah.
to see the disappointment of everyone on
Like,
Twitter. And then hopefully my Palace boys will do the business. I've gone Riedewald in defence. He's out of position. He's been playing in midfield recently. Etse, just a fantastic player, needs to step up while Zaha is out, and hopefully Guaita can get a clean sheet there as well. The Villa double up, Grealish and Watkins, I've got them in FPL. I just love both players, love watching them. Villa are just having a great season. So hopefully they can link up both of them for goals and assists in that one. And then Son and Kane, I think I always try and do something slightly different in Fan Team. I think most contestants will go for Manchester City players for this tournament. I've avoided City and I've gone for Son and Kane because when I see Son 8.12 million in a fantasy format, I find it very hard to resist because even though the fixture is difficult, it just could be, football's unpredictable. It could be one of those games where Man City have 25 shots, Spurs have 3 shots, and Spurs win 2-0. And we know when Spurs score, it's likely to be Son and Kane involved. So, yeah, Dallas then just goes in as a cheap defender, playing out of position. Always a chance of attack and returns there, even if he doesn't keep a clean sheet. So that's where I'm at the moment.
nice. I think that Man City and Spurs scenario you just mentioned was the exact scenario that happened in the first half of season one. I think Man City just peppered the Spurs goal all game, but Spurs ran away quite comfortable winners in the end at 2-0. So, Spurs Man City, I've got a bit of history actually. I think
Yeah,
Spurs record.
that game's probably in the back of my mind actually,
Yeah.
on subconsciously when I was actually picking those two guys.
And how many times it happened again last weekend? It was ruled offside for a heel. Son. How many times? How many times do you see Son in that inside left channel running through onto a through ball, and he just curls it with his right foot, bottom corner? You can see it happening like every week, especially against the bigger teams. So I think that's really good team there. Makes them
Yeah,
really.
and I thought Kane looked really good as well. I wasn't expecting him
Yeah.
to come back so quickly, and yeah, maybe a little bit rusty with some of those goal attempts, but getting into good positions, he looked pretty fresh. So I want to get him into my FPL team as well. Probably not this week, but probably for Game Week 25. So yeah, hopefully he'll be firing in the goals in this one.
Nice team there, Mark. So on to my team. My team looks very different to yours this week. So I've gone
For a change.
for a change. Yeah, I've gone for Ramsdale in goals. Your man, Ramsdale. They are playing West Ham. It's a budget pick more than anything, but Sheffield United, they do look tighter, fighting for their life. Antonio looks like he may miss that one as well. And West Ham looked absolutely, let's be nice and say, toothless against Man United on Tuesday, but they were dreadful. So it's a budget pick, but he has got a chance, I think, of a clean sheet. Gone for a back three this week of Alonso, who I'm tempted to captain actually. So Chelsea, Newcastle, Alonso. As we know with Alonso, very very attacking. Tuchel's comments last week. Alonso didn't play last week, but his comments were very much along the lines of Alonso can't play 3 in a week. So for me, he's still probably that first choice. I think he could be, a really shrewd pick this week in particular against Newcastle, and that gives me, that player on the Monday night. And like I say, I'm tempted to captain him because if he scores a goal and keeps a clean sheet, gets an assist, keeps a clean sheet, you could be on for a mega haul there.
And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of Fan Team. You've got your safety net anyway if he doesn't turn up. So.
Yes, exactly that. Gone for a cheapie in Veltman for Brighton. So I'm probably a bit more pro Brighton than you are. In their match against Villa, I think they've been defending so well. I think they've conceded 1 goal in their last 5. And that's backed up, in terms of the stats as well. They're not giving away many chances at all. So I think that Villa will find it hard. Personally, this weekend, again, a bit of a budget pick, 6.7, but, enables a bit more cash at the top end of the pitch. And I've gone for Cancelo at 9.8. I do think that Spurs may score, but with Cancelo in the position he's playing, he can do anything. I can't look away from him every week in every format, because for me he's probably the most rounded, best fantasy option in the game at the moment. Across all games, because he's got that
one of the best fantasy assets we've had for a long time. I think
absolutely, and and at his price in the format as well, because he obviously started off quite cheap as well in most of the games. In midfield, I've gone for Foden. So he was rested in the FA Cup last night. Now, Foden's got a really good record of scoring against the big teams. I think he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment in the big games. He looks incredibly dangerous. What a player! There just aren't enough superlatives for this kid. Feel bad call him a kid, but I'm old enough to be his father, so I think I'm entitled to call him a kid. But what an absolute superstar. And next to him, another young superstar in terms of Lookman. Again, more of a budget pick, but I picked Lookman the last few weeks. 7 million away to Everton. Everton haven't been the best at the back. They played, as they say, they played a really long, wearing game last night with their first 11, and Lookman just looks mega sharp, and Everton don't look that good at the back. So I think if they go in to score, he'll likely be involved. Gone for Son, the same as you, at 8.1 against City. His record against City, is really good. He's just got a knack of scoring against me, finding the space and scoring. So 8.1, I think he's a really good pick. I've also gone for Harvey Barnes. I mentioned earlier, Leicester against Liverpool. I can see it being a very kind of open game, and this is where my fantasy mind kind of comes in here, because a lot of my opponents got Harvey Barnes in their FPL teams, and I haven't got him. So I think by putting him in this, if he scores, it will kind of help soothe me in terms of my FPL teams, because I know I'll get some points in this. And I've gone for Salah then in the same game. So 11.4. Not very often you get Salah for cheap, but like I say, Leicester at the back haven't been amazing. Liverpool are going to have to go for it. He's the main man. If they score, he'll likely be involved. So that's what I'm going for Salah as well. And up front, a bit of a rogue pick in Richarlison. So obviously Calvert-Lewin went off last night. I thought Richarlison probably had his best game for Everton of the season. I think last night, scored a couple of goals, looked really, really dangerous. And they play Fulham, who are okay. But I can see a couple of goals for each team in that one. So Richarlison likely to be involved. I don't think he's on penalty anymore with Sigurdsson on the pitch, but I think he's a decent pick. And I've gone for Cavani up front. I agree with you. I think United are gonna turn over West Brom. Cavani rested midweek. What a threat! What a player! He's just the player. He and Bruno are the players for me that Man United need. I do think, rightly or wrongly, that Man United do sometimes play with a bit of air of casualness at times. Players like Martial and Rashford at times can look like they're walking about a bit disinterested, whereas Cavani and Bruno are just there dragging them along, and he's such a fantastic striker. So he's my cat at the moment. So big misses, obviously. Bruno, I haven't got him in this week just because I'm spreading the funds a little bit, kind of amongst the 11. But I do think that Cavani is captain. I expect Cavani to score a couple of goals. So I think he'll do well.
Yeah, I like the Cavani captaincy shout. I'm actually tempted by Cavani in FPL. If Calvert-Lewin is out, it's two very good fixtures coming up. The obvious move is to get Bamford back in, but Cavani's the shiny new toy. He's just been a breath of fresh air since he came into the starting 11. As a United fan, when we signed him, I wasn't too excited. The guy's pushing on in the age now, and he's been amazing. Every time I watch him, his movement, his finishing, his work rate more than anything.
Definitely.
He's been so good. I think he's got to be one of the first names on Solskjaer's team sheet these days. So I like the captaincy out there with Cavani. And I like Richarlison as well. We always talk about, stats, expected goals, expected assists, but something we don't talk about is expected confidence. And, goals midweek for Richarlison. He'll be buzzing for the weekend against Fulham. So I like that. I like that pick.
With United as well, so the next 4, so they're away to West Brom, they're home to Newcastle, I believe, in game week 25, and then they will have a double game week in game week 26. Just talking about fan team season longer moments. So I've also been eyeing up the same move with Cavani, not just as a 1 week pick, but for the next few weeks as well. They're in form, they're scoring goals, they're playing well, and they've got the fixtures to maybe that as well. So I've been looking at a Calvert-Lewin to Cavani, as well as Luke Shaw as well, who looks pretty, a great price, wonderful player as well. Interesting there. So I'm not sold on Cavani as captain, only because I think Alonso captain could be, a really exciting move, especially going into the Monday night. Or what I usually do, I usually enter 2 or 3 of these, so I may captain Cavani in one, Alonso in the other. But
it'd be nice to have a captain in the last game, wouldn't it?
It would in the last game, especially if you're at a decentish place in the leaderboard. That's when the juices really start to flow there, don't they? Okay, so we finish with some big news from FanTeam that they are launching their Champions League knockout round tournament this week, and it is now open to start registering your teams, with the tournament kicking off on the 16th of February with Barcelona versus Paris Saint-Germain and Leipzig versus Liverpool. What a start to the tournament. It's going to be ridiculously exciting. The tournament has a massive prize pool of €250,000 with a staggering €50,000 first prize. An incredible tournament once again from FanTeam, who just keep pushing the boundaries in fantasy sports, seemingly week on week at the moment. And to enter this, click in the link below. Mark, are you excited for the Champions League returning and the Europa?
Yeah, it's do you know what, I haven't first half of the season I didn't play any UEFA Champions League fantasy formats, but I'm looking forward to this one. I can't resist 50 grand. It's too hard to pass by. So I'll be putting a couple of teams into this one, and hopefully win it, and I can get the rest of the windows done in the house and maybe a backdoor then as well.
Superb. Yeah, really excited, for the Champions League returning. The British teams have got some really good ties, both in this and the Europa as well. And with football on every 3 days, I know we mentioned at the start of the program, that it's causing injuries and it's hard to keep up with, but it's just a football fiesta in it. This season really is just absolutely non-stop wonderful. Okay, so that is it from us for this episode. All the links are below for all the games we have discussed today. Don't forget, for this week, there's also that free entry to the €7,500 tournament for new FanTeam users. So head to fanteam.com to register and play that tournament for free. So thank you so much, Mark, for joining me again this week. We'll have you on again very, very soon. Any final parting words of wisdom or a punt for the week maybe, or something like that?
No punts off the top of my head, but yeah, my advice is do put 1 or 2 punts into your team and be creative with the captaincy as well. Particularly if you're entering more than one team, be creative with the captaincy. And good luck to yourself, Andrew, and to all the viewers as well who are taking part.
Buddy, Alonso captain is my call for this week. I think
it's not going to be a differential now when you're doing it.
Okay, remember that if you liked what you watched, please press the like button and remember to subscribe to the channel in the bottom right corner of the screen. If you're listening on a podcast, please rate the podcast and leave a comment. If you could leave 5 stars and a comment of what you enjoy and what we can improve, it would be very, very much appreciated. So this podcast will be available as a video on the FanTeam YouTube channel and available as an audio version on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. Just search for Official FanTeam Podcast. Our website is fanteam.com. Our Twitter handles are at FanTeamOfficial and at FanTeam_UK. Give us a follow for regular game updates and for entry giveaways. I'm sure we will see some giveaways in the next week for the Game Week 24 Monster and the Champions League €250,000 competition as well. So make sure you follow on Twitter at FanTeamOfficial and at FanTeam_UK. We'll be back very soon, looking ahead to the Game Week 25 Weekly Monster. The very, very best of luck for Game Week 24. Goodbye for now.